15 on the season. You can see it for yourself. Wizards scoring. Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, both 23 points, both 6 rebounds. However, Beal 5 assists, Russell with 15. He had 8 in the first half. So we've got to make some sense of it because this is us starting off the month of March, getting ready to go to All-Star break after we face the Clippers on Thursday. But, guys, a lot of emotions to unpack in this one. This one kind of had me all over the place, especially with the energy we had going into it on pregame. But, Chris Miller, I want to hear your first thoughts on what you saw from this loss against the Grizzlies.
Well, I thought Russell Westbrook came out with the right disposition just to make sure that there was no carryover really from the disappointing 1-point loss Sunday to Boston, right? I just loved his aggressiveness. But the 8 turnovers, too many turnovers tonight. But I was tracking really 2 things from Memphis tonight. This is a very young and athletic team, but they're number 1 in a couple of statistical categories that I wanted to keep an eye on. They were number 1 in steals, getting just under 10 a game. They had 15 tonight. They're number 1 in paint points, averaging 55.3 per game. They had 56. This is the 75th straight game in which they've had at least 40 points in the paint. So going into the game, I was like, I wanted to see how the Wizards would not allow Memphis to continuously attack the paint. And tonight, they were just good. They hit their average, right? They got 56 paint points. They turned the Wizards over. They turned them into points. And you just saw a young, hungry, athletic team come into D.C. and get a big-time win.
Sticks, you're the birthday boy. I know we talked a little bit about the crossover, but go a little bit further in depth on what you saw tonight, because especially that points in the paint thing that Chris was mentioning, that was almost a backbreaker.
You know, the points in the paint was really kind of detrimental to the Wizards' loss, but I think it was because of the high turnovers. They were getting out in transition and they were getting easy layups. That's a big problem and a big no-no, but I think that the Wizards played great for the first quarter and a half. Then it got a little bit out of hand because there was consecutive turnovers. Now, if you look at the score, they only lost by less than 15. So you take away half of those turnovers. That gives you extra possessions to go out there and get something good on the offensive end. But what I love to see is Russell Westbrook getting the offensive output that he did early in the game and then distributing the ball, especially 15 assists. That's hard to do. He was going out there. He was making sure that he was getting his teammates involved, plus having the trust in them to knock down those shots. Because going back a game in Boston, they were struggling to shoot, struggling to knock down shots. Not the case tonight. Guys were knocking down shots, but you have to give the Grizzlies credit. Like I said before, Dillon Brooks did a great job defensively on Bradley Beal, and conversely, he was attacking on the offensive end. How do you stop the main player for the other team? You guard them on defense, but you put pressure on them on the offensive end, and I think they did that tonight.
Coach Patsos, looking at the scoring for tonight, the Grizzlies had 7 players in double figures, 3 of them above 25 points, and then the Wizards only had 2. That was Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. But Dillon Brooks, 20 points in that starting lineup. That was somebody that Sticks just mentioned as well. Tell me what you could see from him being that other person that created such an impact for Memphis.
You heard Drew Gooden talk about it. He's a Canadian guy that went to Oregon, played for Dana Altman. You have to play defense, play for Dana Altman at Oregon. And he's gotten better, but he's never given a, he's improved. Him and D'Anthony Melton were mid-second round picks that have improved. But it's okay. It's easy to go in the other locker room as a coach and you say, hey, it's okay. Hey, Rui. Hey, Garrison. These guys are a little older than you, but they keep getting better. You guys have to keep getting better, because when you have only 2 guys, this is the same thing we talked about before the game. It's nobody's fault, but the Wizards couldn't make any threes. Russell hit 2 threes. They were 6 for 22 at one point from 3. Bradley's doing his deal. He's kicking it out to guys that are open and they can't make threes. So you have to keep improving. Justice Winslow. Drew talked about him being kind of a range at Duke, Miami. He's made a second chance opportunity, but whether, and NATO's pretty good. But to only have 2 guys in double figures, I wanted Mo Wagner. He's got a couple early. But Garrison Matthews is the main guy. And I know we all call him the professional shooter. He's got to get that confidence back. I didn't think Rui looked at the basket enough. I want to talk about that later. You guys got to make shots, because Russell and Bradley are setting you up for wide open shots. They were packing it in a little, Memphis. You got to make shots. Have the confidence to make shots. The turnovers, we all know that, because Jason, you're before the game was, we were supposed to get turnovers for scores. They got them. But sometimes you just got to step up and make some open jump shots, and we didn't do that today.
Plus, we've got to look at the free throw line. The Memphis Grizzlies shot 23 free throws, and Chris Miller, John Morant shot 14 of those. His ability to get to the line tonight, he shot more than anybody else on the court tonight. Just break down the fact that he, for some reason, was able to pretty much pick his shot tonight.
You know, it was interesting. He really shied away from shooting threes tonight. You could just tell he was like, I'm not comfortable 23 feet and beyond. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do what I'm comfortable with, and that's getting into the paint and attacking and making the decision to get there and get fouled. I thought he got some veteran calls tonight. I mean, he was 11 of 14 from the charity stripe for that 35 points. But, you know, double for him, 10 assists. He also had 5 rebounds. You know, he played the complete floor game for a point guard tonight. Give the kid a lot of credit. We talked about him in the pregame show about earning that Rookie of the Year distinction a year ago, beating out his AAU teammate in Zion Williamson. But this kid has really developed, and I'm going to wait and see a couple of years from now, guys, when he kind of fills out his body a little more. He is going to be trouble for the Western Conference for years to come.
He's been giving us fits, too, because we haven't beat him since he's been on the Grizzlies team. I mean, he had his first 30.
Yeah, they won 3 straight. Right. They won 3 straight against Washington.
Like, what's going on? His first career 30-10 game with those 10 assists on the season. Guys, I want to go back and look at some of our 4-point play predictions that we had in the first part in pregame. Now, Jason, there was no 4-point play today, so, you know, allow you to kind of just elaborate on the fact that there were some opportunities that I think we missed on, especially with guys basically provoking the attempt to head fake the 3 instead of taking the 3. And then once guys started missing shots, you could just see that things kind of begin to tailspin after that.
You know, that's the biggest thing about a shooter is that you want to have rhythm going into a shot. And with Garrison shooting such a great percentage from deep and Davis shooting such a great percentage from deep, they're having guys fly out at them at the perimeter. And the biggest thing for a shooter is that you kind of want to have space and time and get into your rhythm. Well, they were shot faking. That takes you completely out of your rhythm. Regardless if you take a gather dribble, that is tough for any shooter. I don't care if you are Davis Bertans. That is a hard shot. Now, granted, they can all make those shots, but it increases the difficulty, plus it lowers that percentage. As soon as you take that shot fake or take a little gather dribble, that's a tougher shot to make. And tonight you saw that they just were not making those shots. But like Coach said, Brad, Russ, they are getting to the paint. They were distributing the basketball. Obviously, Russ had 15 assists. He was doing a great job of making sure getting the teammates involved. But for those guys that aren't making the shots, you always have to be ready to shoot. When Brad drives, regardless if he shoots or not, always be ready because he will find you if you are open. And when you are open, you have to knock down those shots or Coach is going to go deeper into the bench to try and find guys who will make those shots.
Well, speaking of Coach, his pregame prediction was Matthews, Rui, and Wagner going for 30-plus points. They combined for 19 tonight. Coach, talk to me about the fact that you were trying to motivate them. I know what you did by making that selection. You tried to get them going. They just weren't able to get in stride tonight.
No, they weren't, and I thought they had a good start because Mo had a couple buckets early, and Garrison hit his 3 early, and then he just didn't get any. You did notice Scott Brooks did not play them to start the second half. That's what I was trying to allude to. You got to be careful when you're young because Coach has pressure on him, and there's 12 other guys in that locker room that want to play. And all of a sudden he said, for whatever reason, to start the second half, Mo and Garrison didn't start. And that's, as Jason knows, and that can be the start of all of a sudden, I'm not starting anymore. Well, maybe I'm not on the bench. Maybe I'm way down the bench. So have confidence. You got a big game against Clippers. Everything's fine. It was a great February. Now it's March. But we need you guys to do just a little more. And I hear what Jason's saying, you get scouted. Jason's 100% right. They were getting them off the line quick, Jason. All of a sudden, they didn't have that freedom. And it's really hard, especially from the NBA three-point line, to shot fake and move. And I want to ask you real quick, Jason, what's it like when you see young guys getting scouted and you try to tell them, hey, they're figuring out who you are? What do you give advice to younger players? What was your advice?
You have to keep on doing what you got you to that point. You're going out there shooting with confidence. The thing about Garrison is that it didn't matter if somebody was contesting him. He was confident in his shot. He was elevating. He was releasing it perfectly. The thing with Davis is that completely the whole last year he was shooting at such a high percentage. Gets paid during the summer. Now this year, he is on everybody's scouting report. He is the hot shooter out there. So for those two guys, it's Bradley Beal and Russ are attacking the rim, but get out to those two guys to make sure they don't get open 3 attempts.
Guys, I know we are not really in a celebration mood after a loss, but I do have to give Chris Miller his flowers because his prediction was right. A bit bittersweet. Bench points, 46-35. You got that right, but we weren't able to get the dub. So, Chris, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, Memphis is coming off scoring a franchise record 85 points off the bench in their win Sunday against the Rockets. They almost won by 50. And I was like, well, wait a minute. There is no way those guys are going to be able to score 85 again. And plus, I have a lot of confidence in a guy like Robin Lopez. He was 6 for